Alright guys, so today I'm going to be discussing the top 5 things that Zion Williamson needs to improve on to become the NBA superstar that we all think he's capable of becoming. So we're going to get straight into it. Number 1 is defensive effort. Zion Williamson has been awful on the defensive end of the court. His effort closing out to shooters, guarding the pick and roll, and also challenging shots at the rim have been far from the level that we know he's capable of. At Duke, we saw one of the most impactful and noticeable defensive players in all of college basketball. And that's not to say he didn't have his defensive shortcomings, but he was a force on that end of the court, mostly due to his effort and his athletic ability. Now, in college, he did have quite a few shortcomings on the defensive end of the court, such as falling asleep on backdoor cuts or losing track of a switch, but he never showed the level of laziness that we're seeing from him this year and at the end of last year in the bubble. His inability to effectively guard the opposition limits the flexibility of the Pelicans' offense and defense. It limits the flexibility mainly of the lineups that the Pelicans can put out. So typically they run with Steven Adams at center. Now I think that unlocking Zion Williamson at the center spot could be huge for their offense. But the problem is he cannot guard the pick and roll. And that makes him almost unplayable at that position, meaning they do have to start Steven Adams. They have to play him a lot of minutes, and he's not a shooter. And it clogs up the paint, and it limits the offensive potential as well of this team. I'm not saying Steven Adams is a bad player, I just think that the full potential of this team would be unlocked if Zion Williamson could play more minutes at the center position. And it seems that the easy fix to this is he just brings more energy on the end of the court. If you've watched any Pelicans games this year, you would have noticed it. He just stands there sometimes, or he loses track of someone, or someone blows by him, and he doesn't care, he doesn't react, he doesn't attempt to get back and block the shot, or challenge them at the rim, or close out to a shooter, he lets it happen. So I feel that just by bringing his energy up and bringing more effort to that side of the court, it could really unlock some of the potential of this Pelicans team. Okay, so number 2 on the list is he needs to improve his playmaking and reduce his turnovers. So right now, Zion is averaging more turnovers than assists on the season. It was the same thing last year. Granted, they're both around 3 a game, so it's not alarming, it's just a thing that I believe needs to be improved. And he also needs to improve his ball handling ability. So with his ability to blow past defenders and draw help defense as he attacks the rim, Zion should be able to increase his playmaking load as he kicks out to shooters or gives off a dump-off pass to a cutting player. Now, a lot of the issues here are due to the fact that the Pelicans are not shooting well this season at all. Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and JJ Redick, who all play major minutes for them, have just all struggled to find their shot. All shooting below league average from 3. Lonzo especially so has been terrible from the field and from 3. And it's really hurting the offense, and it's hurting Zion's ability to improve these parts of his game. So whilst I do believe that Zion does need to improve his playmaking vision and be a little bit more effective at setting up his teammates on drives, it does at the end of the day come down to these players making their shots after being passed to. So yeah, I definitely believe that the playmaking potential of Zion has definitely been untapped, and the Pelicans should definitely look to exploit that a lot more, give him the ball, and direct him to make those passes if he can't get to the rim. It's so effective. When he drives in, the defense collapses because he shoots so efficiently. I think he's almost a 70% from the field shooter this year. 99% of those shots, I would guess, are coming at the rim. I haven't looked at the exact statistics, but if he could improve that and get his averages up to 4 or 5 assists per game, which is, where a lot of the NBA superstars today do find their assists per game ranking at, he could definitely improve his game, definitely improve the overall Pelicans offense, and provide this team with the shooting it needs, because the shooting percentages right now is really hurting the offense. Despite them putting up quite a few points a game, they could blow teams out of the water with that shooting ability if they could find more open shots. At number 3, as I just mentioned, this team needs more shooting. I think Zion Williamson really needs to extend his range outside of the paint, into the mid-range, and even out to the 3-point line. Now, Zion Williamson has only taken 14 3-pointers in this entire season so far. Granted, he is shooting 40% on those, over 40%, but it is only 14 threes. And when he's out there, he doesn't look comfortable. He rarely shoots, as I mentioned, and defenders just don't really consider him a threat. Yeah, and if he can get his attempts from 3 to even 2 per game, and, you know, chuck in a couple mid-range shots as well, and stroke it at like a league average 35%, you know, it would do wonders for their offensive spacing, and then in turn improve his ability to get to the ring, because the paint would be uncrowded, and that's where he's most effective. That's what his entire game is predicated upon. And then again, this ties into my previous point about his playmaking. A more open court, more spacing is just, it makes life easier for every single person on that team on the offensive side of the court. At number 4, I have a very simple one. He needs to improve his free throw shooting. Not just his free throw shooting, but also his free throw attempts. He averages 4.8 makes from 7.4 attempts so far this year. And for a player who drives into the defense and attacks the rim as often and as efficiently as Zion Williamson does, he needs to improve his efficiency at the line, because he will get hacked and he will get whacked for his entire career just due to how huge and how much of a force he is. And I think that if he can increase his free throw shooting to around 75% per game, up from the mid-60s where he's at now, that's an extra point or two a game. It's an extra dynamic to that offense. And then again, if he can improve his attempts, if he can improve his usage and become craftier at drawing fouls, that again makes him a more effective offensive player and makes them entirely more dangerous. So yeah, this one's a pretty obvious one. I'm not going to drag on for ages about this one. He needs to improve his percentages and he needs to increase his attempts per game. And finally, at number 5, Zion needs to increase his fast break points. This is more of a team philosophy than the individual player working on this, but the Pelicans rank right now 20th in the league in fast break points, and I think this is mainly due to playing Steven Adams at center. Now, Steven Adams is a very effective player in the half court. He can rebound well, he can defend well, and he can also finish around the rim on the offensive side of the court. He is a generally slower player, and he doesn't look for those long outlet passes after he's grabbed a rebound. He generally tries to look for that short outlet option to Alonzo or an Ingram as they bring the ball off the court. And I think that ties into what I was saying before about not being able to play Zion at the center spot due to being a liability on the defensive end of the court. Because if Zion Williamson playing the center can grab a rebound, he can jet it down the court. He can take it the length of the floor without having to first pass it. And that's like kind of like what Russell Westbrook was always really effective at doing. And a massively underrated part of his game was grabbing the rebound and immediately starting that fast break, pushing the tempo, and getting the defense on their heels as they're running back to defend. And, you know, this does tie into his playmaking ability as well, because, you know, if he's taking the ball the length of the floor after a rebound, his teammates are going to find themselves in situations where they're going to have open shots, whether that be from the three-point line or cutting in for a layup on the fast break. And those opportunities are going to present themselves far more often if they can increase their fast break production. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys disagree with any of my points or think that there are more pressing matters that Zion needs to work on, please let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my new videos. Give this video a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.